Trump is live right now, by the way, but low energy. Oh, I wanted to see Trump. He's doing his agenda. He's talking at the America First Summit in Washington, D.C. today. So let's move away from landlords and back to the Lord of the land, Donald Trump.
51%. We must never allow ourselves to grow numb to the violence that is tearing apart the fabric of our nation. It's time to have the courage to say what needs to be said and to do what needs to be done to keep America safe. We've never had a time like this. We've never had anything close to what's happening right now.
Like what?
We owe it to the victims, we owe it to our families, and we owe it to our country to do the right thing. In the Make America Great Again movement, we believe that every citizen of every background should be able to walk anywhere in this nation at any hour of the day without even a thought of being victimized by violent crime. If we don't have safety, we don't have freedom, we don't have a country. America first must mean safety first. We have to have safety. Starting with our new majorities in Congress next year.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny to consider that, like, you know, shit was significantly more dangerous under his reign. Like, people were literally fucking protesting in the streets, and whenever he talked about how dangerous cities were, it was like, dog, you kind of played a role in that.
First, we have to give our police back their authority, resources, power, and prestige. We have to leave our police alone.
They're having a hard time right now. In Uvalde, their fifis were hurt.
They'll be fired. They'll be put in jail. Let them do their job. Give them back the respect that they deserve. Our great police know what to do. We have to allow them to do it. We need to return to stop and frisk policies in cities and not shy away from it.
Yo! I mean, this is a great line. This is great rhetoric because, like, it recognizes that police are doing, like, racist shit, right? And he's saying, like, we need more racism from the police.
And they apologized.
It's an admission.
No longer safe. So stop and frisk. It works. Do it judiciously. Take the guns away from the criminals who shouldn't be having guns. Let the people that have to have guns, that need to have guns, let them have them. But take them away from the criminals. If you're a convicted felon and you have a gun, you're off the streets and you know where you go. The mere concept of defunding the police should never again be stated or even heard. It is so
I love the Republican messaging on this is so fucking adequate. He says, like, Democrats are defunding the police, okay? And instead of, like, tackling the messaging around defunding the police as a movement or, like, what the police deserve, how much money they're fucking taking from the overall budget, and the reason why your cities suck is because these fucking these hot dog pieces of shit are not doing anything and just, like, literally buying new cruisers and all these, like, cool guns and shit to just sit around idly as, like, a school shooting happens in Uvalde and numerous other examples. Instead of, like, reorienting the conversation around, like, police ineptitude, incompetence, all this shit, they are simply saying, no, that's not true. We want to fund the police more. Completely giving up on that argument. No matter what you do, and this is something I've talked about before, no matter what you do as a liberal, okay, you will never be able to come across like you are more reactionary than the Republicans, okay? So stop doing that. It's the John Kerry, I'm the real patriot, and George W. Bush didn't actually serve attitude that has failed the Democrats time and time again. I'm old enough to remind you of this reality, okay? They try this all the time. They're like, oh, well, when they go low, we go just as low, but like a little bit less low. It's like, motherfucker, they will always beat you there, okay? If you get down to their level, and try to advocate for the values that they are advocating for, you are legitimizing their position. You are legitimizing the argument that they're making. You're basically stating that like the argument is true and that you are actually better at funding the police than the Republicans are. All of a sudden, no one is talking about whether or not the police budgets are too inflated to begin with. All of a sudden, we're just simply talking about who's funding the police more. And in that situation, let me tell you something. No one's going to fucking think you're funding the police because you're a libtard, okay? You're a libtard. No matter how much you do, no matter how much you suck and fuck the cops. Joe Biden could Joe Biden could be like, all right, take it out, Jack. Whip out the cock. Let me suck it, Jack. And Americans across the board would still be like, what the fuck? No, Donald Trump is way more in line with the police. 87% of the police force voted for Donald Trump. Okay? 87%. According to a police magazine survey. 87% of the law enforcement community voted for Donald Trump. That number has always been consistent with the Republican Party. Cops are a group of disorganized, not well-trained thugs that are hyper-reactionary. Okay? That's crazy to me. The idea that you're somehow going to address that as a liberal. It's fucking dumb as shit. It's a foolhardy endeavor, and that's precisely why the Democrats are doing it.
But every single city is run by Democrats. Every single city where it's in trouble, like the kind of trouble we're talking, it's run by Democrats and the crazy policies that they put forth, and they can't believe them. And certainly after all of this time with the bad results, you would say, gee, it's time to make a change. But I really believe even a majority of the Democrats would say, because they don't want to be brutalized, a majority of Democrat voters would say exactly what I'm saying is right. Third, we need a no-holds-barred national campaign to dismantle gangs and organized street crime in America. During my presidency, we sent tens of thousands of MS-13 gang members back out of our country. We'd either ideally send them out, and in some cases they were so bad and so dangerous, we put them in jail because we didn't trust the other countries to hold them. Because as you know, other countries very happily send all of their criminals now through our open border into the United States.
Through our open border.
They're emptying their jails into the United States. We're like a dumping ground. We're not going to allow that to happen. We know where these gangs operate, what streets they control. We even know their names. The police officers know their names. The problem is they're not allowed to do anything about it. And they want to. We need to get in there immediately, go into every drug den, every stash house, every hideaway, and round up the dealers and killers and the gang members and charge them with any and every crime that we find. And there are a lot of them: drug crimes, sex crimes, all sorts of crimes, vicious, horrible crimes like we've really never seen before, certainly not on a scale like this. We're a war zone.
It's such a funny fucking argument. Like, oh yeah, cops' hands are tied. Like, they know where the MS-13 gang members are, and yet their fucking hands are tied. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh man, I really wish I could do, cop work, but I just simply cannot. You know what I mean? No, he's using MS-13 as a catch-all term to say all immigrants are fucking, rapists, murderer, drug dealers, as we all know. And that's exactly what he did with his policy back in the day when he ran on, cleaning up immigrant crime, blah, blah, blah. And then the only crime that he actually cleaned up was change the authority and the focus of the CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, and ICE was on otherwise law-abiding undocumented migrant workers. So many undocumented migrant workers that just lived normal fucking lives, that have been living in the United States of America inside these fucking borders for many, many years, were just arrested for no fucking reason. None of those guys were drug dealers, okay? They were just arrested so that Donald Trump could purge the country and reinforce his white nativist immigration strategy. That's it. the idea that like cops are also going to do this, they know where they are, but they're not doing it. They're simply unable to do so is a silly one too. It's a silly notion.
It's a very, think of it, 200,000, you don't lose that in wars. You don't lose that in wars. And yes, these drug traffickers should and must receive the death penalty. And I'll tell you just from dealing with the heads of other countries.
Bro, Duterte.
I said to President Xi of China, do you have a drug problem? No,
he said Duterte time.
Ask such a question. No. He almost didn't know what I was talking about. No. I said, why do you think? Well, if somebody is selling drugs, they get the quick trial. Quick trial. Never forget. What is quick trial? Meaning it goes fast. And they get the death penalty. But when I asked him, I said, do you have in any way no drug problem? They do have a drug problem. You know what they do? They make drugs and send them into our country. But I had it stopped. That was a drug problem they had. We had it stopped. Now it's bigger fentanyl. They make it, most of it, and they send it through Mexico, through the border. And we had it just about stopped. And now the border, as you know, is just a horrible situation. But you look at Singapore, you look at other countries where they have the death penalty, they have no drug problem whatsoever. And if we did that, in 1 year, even if it was not strong, because it's never going to be quite like China, I would say. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think it will ever be like? I don't think so. No matter what we do, no matter how tough we get, it won't be quite. You know what a quick trial is, right? 2 hours.
You're too big of a pussy to admit Trump was a great president? Why?
Not 2 years, not 20 years.
Why was he a great president?
No, we're not going to have that. But just by the mere
he did literally nothing great, with the exception of like COVID stimmies.
Drug dealing would go down.
And even then he fucked everything else up about COVID.
50%. 5-0. 5-0. If the radical Democrat politicians at the state, local levels refuse to protect public safety and instead turns criminals loose to prey upon the innocent, then the federal government will have no choice but to step in, not wait for the governors anymore. I was mandated, wait for the governors, but sometimes I couldn't do that. I was watching too many things happen in Minnesota.
The market thrived during Trump, that's something? Yeah, totally.
If we didn't send in the National Guard, they wouldn't have a city left.
Yeah.
But you have to wait for the governors, in theory.
Motherfuckers who are like buying penny stocks and day trading are like, the market thrived under Trump. Bitch, what do you mean? You made $30. Shut the fuck up.
That we have, we're not going to wait any longer. We're going to pass legislation where we can.
But the line went up. The line went up.
That are under siege, and they have governors that don't know what they're doing. Under these circumstances, the federal government has the right, really, they have the right to do what they want to do, but we can't do that. We can't give that. It's a duty for us to use every tool, every authority and constitutional power at our disposal to defend the citizens of our country. If we have a weak, foolish, and stupid governor that is allowing the kind of things that you saw to take place, we have to be able to go in and we have to be able to clean out the mess, and it has to be cleaned out quickly, strongly, has to go very fast. Just last week, a man tried to stab a sitting member of Congress running for governor of New York, Lee Zeldin, good man, good person. And under the New York State policies, the attacker was released within hours on cashless bail. And according to a study reported last week in the Wall Street Journal, a majority of murders in Baltimore are committed by suspects who should rightfully be in prison, but are instead roaming free under Democrat rule. Almost.
Is that what even happened?
Amazing, isn't it? The next Congress and the next president should crack down on this insanity and crack down very, very
He's talking about like a plastic keychain, right? And he was set free by Lee Zeldin's campaign manager?
The safety of law-abiding Americans cannot
It's like a plastic fucking kitty keychain.
Cowardly governors or people that just don't know what they're doing. Because you'd actually say, look, these are smart people. They don't get there without being intelligent people. They must know. The only other thing you could say is
I don't know the exact details. God damn it. We're literally
it's hard
fucking.
To believe they hate our country, but a lot of people
there's so much that happens. There's so much
that
that happens that conservatives are talking about. Literally nothing he says is fact. That article he cites literally doesn't say that, lol. You should be in prison, dog. How many trips to Epstein Island did you take? Mr. Trump, the worst criminal around. I mean, that's never going to happen. That's how you get advanced in American politics. But let's see. Oh, God, we haven't done this in a very long time. Like live fact checking Donald Trump. You're really platforming Trump right now? Yeah, I am. The dude was drunk and thought the candidate said them something mean about veterans. All they talk about is consolidating federal power when it comes to Trump, but their argument for repealing human rights is that we have to let the states decide. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Of course it's bullshit. Lee Zeldin, the GOP nominee for New York governor, attacked at a rally. Homie is literally an Iraqi veteran fucking hat wearing Andy, okay? I doubt that this dude was an Antifa guy. He's got the diabetes fucking sevens on. He literally has the cataract glasses on. This is a conservative. This is a hog. U.S. Representative Lee Zeldin, the Republican candidate for New York governor, said Friday he wasn't immediately alarmed when a stranger joined him on stage during a campaign rally because the man wore a hat indicating, like Zeldin, he'd served in the military. Then Zeldin noticed the man clutching a pointed weapon headed straight towards the congressman's neck. "You're done," the man said. At that moment, Zeldin said, regardless of whatever's on your hat, this was not a normal situation. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're one of mine. You're one of me." Zeldin grabs the man's wrist, and the two tussled to the ground as other people jumped in to help. The episode left Zeldin with a minor scrape. Photos of the pointed object used in the attack suggests a cat-shaped keychain meant to be worn on the knuckles for self-defense. The man, identified as 43-year-old David Jakubonis, has been charged with attempted assault for attacking Zeldin as he addressed the Veterans of Foreign Wars post in the town of Parenton, outside of Rochester. The attacker had climbed onto the low stage as the congressman addressed the crowd of dozens, flanked by bales of hay and American flags. Zeldin is seeking to unseat incumbent Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul this November, and his focus is campaign on calling for a crackdown on crime. An Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel, he has represented Eastern Long Island, but he faced an uphill battle. I don't care about that. Give me more details about the fucking issue. President Brandon also denounced the incident and said it defies our fundamental democratic values. He didn't even get fucking injured. As I've said before, violence has no place. Okay, pussies, I don't care about this. Was charged with attempted assault in the second degree, arraigned and released on Monroe County Sheriff's spokesperson said it's not clear whether he has an attorney who could speak for him. A message-seeking comment was left. Okay. Jakubonis is an Army veteran who was deployed in Iraq as 2009 as a medical laboratory technician. Zeldin said Friday at an event in Syracuse. Notes here and in the QRTs. Okay. The weapon was self-defense kitty ears designed to inflict discomfort rather than damage. In 2022, it seems journos need to expand our violence vocabulary. So they're stating that, like, what? A 2019 bail reform law in New York eliminated pretrial incarceration for people accused of most nonviolent offenses, but the law gives judges the option to set bail in nearly all cases involving violent felonies, but it has exceptions for certain attempted felonies like attempted assault. The federal complaint filed Saturday, alleged Jakubonis, an Iraq War veteran, told investigators he was drinking whiskey on Thursday before he went on stage as Zeldin addressed a Veterans of Foreign Wars post in the town. He did not know who the speaker was or that the speaker was a political person, according to the complaint. The complaint added that when Jakubonis watched the video of Thursday evening's incident, he told the investigators he must have checked out and that he was what was depicted in the video was disgusting. According to the video of the attack, Jakubonis raised his arm towards Zeldin as he grabbed the keychain with two sharp points. The congressman from Long Island then grabbed Jakubonis' wrist, and the two tussled to the ground as other jumped to help Zeldin, who was also in the military, and he suffered a minor scrape. So, this is some Manchurian candidate shit, dude. You got to read this more. The dude got out with no bail because the guy's campaign co-chair is the DA, even though he usually gives bail. And then the candidate criticized there being no bail. So, Lee Zeldin is the GOP candidate for New York governor. His platform is fear over bail reform. He gets attacked at a campaign event by a hog. Local prosecutor is also his campaign co-chair. Normally, his local prosecutor gives harsh charges. She charges lenient and allows release in this circumstance because the guy is a veteran, and that looks bad for them. Zeldin uses the release to attack bail reform, and the media fucking writes these insane articles. This is how the American media manufactures consent in the most, like, horrific, reactionary ways possible. Okay? And there you go. You are not allowed to criticize the police until you're willing to suit up in riot gear and beat defenseless poor people. Curious, you never tries to change them from the inside. Yeah. You are not allowed to... Listen. I too also, have a incredibly low crime solving rate. So I'm basically like the police. The difference between me and the cops is that I don't arrive at the scene of the crime and put my hands to the side and go, "What happened here?" and then refuse to solve it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's it. I choose to browse the internet, not inside of my cruiser on my laptop while I'm driving 65 miles down the fucking road, down like an inner city road with my lights on, okay, as I blow past through fucking red lights, putting everyone at risk. And instead I do that here in the comfort of my home. So that's the main difference between me and cops, is that like I'm not at least arriving at a scene to like antagonize the victims. And also, as a consequence of that, I end up killing way less people. Okay? 0 to my knowledge. You check Twitter not when you're in the middle of an active shooter situation. That's right. Oh, also, I am financed by you guys who give me subscriptions at the top of the hour sometimes when I run a 60-second ad break, and at other times throughout the day as well, because you're like, oh, I like this content, even though it's free. But at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay? I'm not subsidized by the city budget. I'm not taking 50% of the entire city's taxpayer budget. Okay? That's a big difference between me and cops as well. But like I said, if you no longer want to see those ads, you can become a part of the Hasanabi revenue force. Okay, Hasanabi University. 2ton21. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour, by the way. That's one other way that you can avoid the ads as well, by getting gifted a sub. Here's the 1-minute ad break now.
Millions of people we're talking about, and help make our cities clean, safe, and beautiful again, is to open up large parcels of inexpensive land in the outer reaches of the cities, bring medical professionals, including doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, drug rehab specialists, build permanent bathrooms and other facilities, make them good, make them hard, but build them fast, and create thousands and thousands of high-quality tents, which can be done in one day. And you have to move people out. Now, some people say, oh, that's so horrible. No, what's horrible is what's happening now. Because now they're in tents, but most of them aren't even tents that function. But we have to do it, because you can put up a tent in one day. It would be 2 years, 3 years, long time if you're going to build housing that would take care of the kind of numbers that we're talking. We're talking about hundreds of thousands and probably millions of people. It will be the ambition of these people and all of us to get their life back on track, leave the tent city, and be back into the mainstream of society, which is where they want to be. It's a great thing. Now, the media will go out and say, oh, Trump wants to build tents. No, I want to take care of the people. Because nothing could be as bad as what's happening to them right now. And at the same time, I want to save our cities, because you're going to have a time when nobody will be here anymore. Nobody will come.
Wait, what?
Here, nobody will come.
Is he getting closer to like
New York, or Chicago, Los Angeles, or any of our cities, to build millions of units of housing or hold homeless people in.
Hey guys, I have a really radical solution, and it's not dissimilar to what Trump is proposing. Are you ready for this? So instead of tents, we could build something that's not dissimilar to a tent, okay? It's kind of like a tent, but with, concrete beams around it to make sure that the tent has like better structural integrity and can withstand weather conditions, right? It'll have like a roof and maybe insulation. These are very similar to tents. It's pretty much, you could call it a tent if you would like, but it's kind of like it would have 4 walls instead of like the regular triangular formation that you are used to seeing with a tent. Because like the regular triangular formulation, like you can move that around with ease, but like honestly, it doesn't offer the same kind of protective coverage. It also doesn't have insulation. I think insulation could be pretty good too. And one of the issues also is like plumbing. I feel like you can't really put plumbing inside of a tent, but these new tents 2.0, could have plumbing in it as well, like a sink, maybe even a kitchen. So I don't know. I feel like that's. I mean, I agree with Trump. I think we should build these tents, but tent 2.0 basically, and we can put homeless people in them.
We've all heard the story of the bodega worker on the night shift in New York who was violently assaulted. Violent. It was on camera, on tape, three different directions by a man attempting to steal a bag of potato chips. When he stabbed the man in self-defense, after being really roughed up and beat up, punched in the face, and the bodega worker was charged with murder. But thankfully, after a lot of pressure, those charges have been dropped. They have been dropped. Amazing. But
whenever you see someone rely on like a singular anecdote, especially a singular anecdote that is like really powerful and emotional, understand that they're lying to you. Okay? I don't know the exact details of what he's talking about, and it could have happened, but the reality is that like crime is a permanent fixture of every society. Every society has instances like this, but the only reason why a presidential candidate or someone like this would use this real story, okay, in his narrative, in his advocacy, is because he's trying to drive home the underlying reactionary narrative that like crime is happening. It happened, and that video is pretty wild. No, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Okay, there's a likelihood that it happened. Not only does it happen, it happens all the time. The point is, crime is permanent. Like it always happens. And what you need to do is try to address the underlying reasons why this kind of crime happens. But the only reason why he's mentioning this is because he's fear-mongering. Okay? Democrats do this too. The reality, however, is that there's a video of a dude got murked in an Amiri shirt over a bag of chips. There was no pressure in that case. People were worried that the bodega worker was going to get charged even when it was self-defense. Yes. What he's talking about is a huge conservative talking point right now. My whole conservative family's talking about it. I'm sure Dominican bodega worker was worried about getting robbed at gunpoint and fought back. However, he was never charged because it was self-defense. See, that's the thing. Trump will take a story like this and then turn around and use it to serve an overarching narrative. It is a singular anecdote, but why is he mentioning it? Just like he will always mention like one immigrant that was charged with rape or something. That doesn't mean that there are no immigrants that have ever been charged with rape. Of course there are. Of course. But if you look at the actual statistics, undocumented citizens are charged with violent crimes and convicted of violent crimes at way lower percentages than natural-born U.S. citizens are. Why? Probably because they are way more risk-averse and way more afraid of fucking law enforcement, and they don't want to they're not operating within the same confines that like of the same level of comfort that a natural-born U.S. citizen would. That's one of the many different reasons, obviously. But if you look at the actual evidence, if you look at the reality, it's drastically different than the way that Trump is presenting it and the way that all these other people are presenting it.
See, it just shows you what these political geniuses, I have all these consultants, all these great... Sir, don't say that. It's very controversial. That's not written down anywhere. I just said, this might be a good time. So, he said, don't do it. And that gets the biggest hand of everything. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I tell the story of the great swimmer, great female swimmer. Wonderful woman, beautiful woman. She's been swimming for many years. She wants
transphobia
to break the world
incoming.
record. And she's at the pool, and she wants to break it by an eighth of a second. That's like fast.
Oh, transphobia incoming.
She's ready, and she looks down. She sees all people she's been competing with for years because they rise to the top. And she looks over here, and she sees people. But then she looks, and they call this. They say this. She sees somebody with a man's body. That's what they do. They call it. I said, you think it's okay to say that? That's actually the expression they're using. They'll change that soon, so I have to do it quickly. I have to say it. I
have to get out the transphobia quickly.
And
they're coming after me. It's like, dude, that's so funny. Like it's such a fucking funny, idiotic take to be like, oh, they're gonna get me if I say transphobic shit. It's like, bro, what do you mean? You're literally campaigning off of transphobia.
You almost say, is the world going crazy? Because 99%
like it is a deeply popular perspective especially in your community, especially in your fucking circles.
Massive. He's got a wingspan. He's got arms that are 30 feet long. And I always say, and she was seriously injured during the meet because he swam so fast that he gave her major wind burn as he went by her. And she didn't break the record, but he broke the record that day. You know what the number was? 38 seconds. So she wanted to break it by an eighth of a second, and he broke it by 38 seconds. Or the weightlifter, I think it was like 218 pounds. And that's a lot. I can't lift it. I don't know who can. Any of our ex-Trump people, they're all Trump people.
They're not. That's not a lot of weight, brother. What the fuck? 218 pounds is literally not that much weight. What the fuck?
But that's a lot. 218 pounds, and she got over that weight, and
Pussy.
She was going to break it. They put a half an ounce here, half little tiny ring on top of these big barbells, dumbbells. Then they go, and she went like this, and she got to break it. Stood for 11 years. And her mother and father are screaming, you got it. You got it, darling. I'm so proud of my girl. Well, she couldn't do it. And then this guy comes along. He's named Alice. And he looks at the weight. World record. We could have put another couple of 100 pounds on. I think he would have lifted her. It's so disrespectful to women. And they say it's politically incorrect. It's so disrespectful.
Dude, this is the funniest part. It's like Donald Trump is saying something is disrespectful to women. Like, dog, you're Donald Trump. You literally said, like, prominent conservative commentators had, like, blood coming out of their pussy. Because they like gave you light pushback. What do you mean? You've literally talked about how you could grab women by the pussy. Like, how is that not disrespectful to women? What the fuck? Ah! It's so wild, dude. It's such a wild fucking take, man. Yeah, he's got like a million fucking rape accusations that he's like, it's just disrespectful to women.
70 points of this team. Now, we have to change that, and we have to make it okay to talk about it. Do you know the young lady I was talking about is afraid to talk about it? She's shunned and she's canceled when she talks about it. This is crazy. Right, Kellyanne? I see my Kellyanne. We love Kellyanne. I love Kellyanne. Finally, to secure our country, we have to secure our borders, and there's never been anything like what's taking place at our borders.
Never.
Our open borders are a gaping wound, allowing drugs, gangs, child traffickers, human smugglers, and tens of thousands.
Did you just say, has he ever been openly transphobic during his presidency? My friend, Donald Trump literally did the trans military ban against his generals who said, no, actually, it doesn't matter if trans people are in the military, and it's going to cost significantly more to stop trans people from joining the military and like discharging all the trans people that are currently in the military. Of course he was incredibly transphobic.
They will say something, and you're supposed to believe it. Like Russia, Russia, Russia. Oh, Trump is an agent of Russia. If they kept saying it, I might even start believing it someday. No, what they do is they say this stuff, and it's happening now with the January 6th. They say stuff, and they think you're going to believe it. It's a serious... It is a horrible, horrible thing. But he said our border is secure. And I actually...
Yeah, no, one of the famous things about like open borders is when the Biden administration continues the Trump administration's border policies. Like, that's what it is. When you're borders are so open that, like, 52 migrants died in a fucking truck, in an 18-wheeler, like 3 weeks ago, and the media forgot about it already and like doesn't even cover it anymore. That's what happens when you have open border policies.
Countries represented.
It's so
people
fucked
that
up,
came into
dude.
our country illegally. We don't know who they are, where they're from. We know nothing about them. But they say that I got a lot of things right. They say Trump called it all right. Everything I've said has turned out to be true. Many of these people that are coming in will cause trouble for our country, the likes of which you have no idea, terrorism and other things. They're sending in people into our country that will cause problems for us for decades to come, and problems like perhaps you've never even seen before, that kind of level. When we regain the majority, we need to use the purse strings to prohibit even one dime from being spent to implement Joe Biden's open borders agenda. We have to have it stopped and to force him to deport the illegal aliens that he is now refusing to deport. Now, he's not going to do that, so we do have to wait to a certain extent. The guys can do a fantastic job, and they can stop things from happening, but it's going to be very hard for them to change that. They're not going to do it. I think it would be actually easy. I think we'd be doing them a favor politically. We're actually helping them politically if they ever did, but they're not going to do it. So we do have to do a great job in 2024, and I think we will do it. It's interesting, when I campaigned in 2016, the border was a big deal, and I talked about it constantly, and I won. Then in 2020, I couldn't talk about the border. You know why? Because I did such a good job. There was nothing to talk about. I said, it's true. I said, I can't talk about it.
He said he handled the border. The border was done. It is over.
I did too good a job. That's like obsolescence. A windshield wiper. For those of you, I used to drive cars. I haven't been driving too many lately. But for those of you that complain, you buy a windshield wiper, right? And it lasts for 1 year, and then it doesn't work anymore. You can't see. You got to get another one. They could make the wiper good for 100 years, but they want planned obsolescence. The same thing is happening. The exact same thing is happening. We have to be able to close up those borders, and we have to be able to send many of the people back.
Is he saying that they're trying to do planned obsolescence on the border wall? What the fuck?
So I don't know how Kevin is going to handle that. I don't know how the Senate is going to handle that. Steve, you're going to have to help, and all of the people are going to have to help. But, you still need somebody in the White House, or it's not going to get done.
Who's he talking to? Steve Bannon or Steve Miller?
And I think that help will be forthcoming, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner than people think. Very important. Republicans should be laying the groundwork for this today, and we need to stand and fight and demand that real border security, strong border security, be included in the spending bill this September. Now, I went to Mexico and I said, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers.
Kevin is Kevin McCarthy, most likely.
The president, who I really like, he's a socialist, but that's okay. I like him a lot. He likes me. I like him. Can you believe this? I got along with him great. But he laughed at me when I suggested it. I said, no, you have to do it. So then he sent his representative to deal with us. And everybody in the State Department laughed at me. They all said, they're not going to do this. I said, here's what you do. Give me a list of your 10 top things. I said this to all of the people, ICE, Border Patrol, everybody, and the State Department. Give me a list of the top 10 things you need from Mexico, and I'll get them all. They said, no way, sir. And there was a woman in the State Department who was really a good woman. She was there 25 years. She dealt with Mexico pretty much exclusively. Sir, they will never do this. We've been after this for many years, decades. I say, how much you want to bet? They'll do it. And she said, you can't do it. I asked for all of the things, remain in Mexico, little thing, let's remain in Mexico. People think that's easy. It wasn't easy to get. But we had all of the different things we needed, and I asked for 28,000 soldiers. And then we had 8 other things which were just equally as obnoxious to ask for. And I said, so what do you think? She said, you're wasting your time, sir, but that's okay. I'd like to watch. I said, fine. So the head man came in, the top representative of the country came in, and I asked him for these 10 things, and he was laughing. Of course we wouldn't do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to give you soldiers to protect your border? I said, yeah, you have to do that because they're pouring through Mexico. You have to do that. We want 28,000 soldiers. That's the exact number we need. We will not do that under.
By the way, this is what the Biden camp was like flexing. They made this solution that Trump was talking about permanent the other day. Like, that is another insane fucking thing that the Democratic Party did. And it's kind of using as an example, as like as a positive thing. Like, oh, we actually did end up getting Mexico to pay for the smart border policies. Like, I give up, dude.
All of the cars, because as you know, over the years, not with me, but over the years, they stole 32% of our automobile business. Think of it. They manufacture 32. They took 32% out of our country. I said, all of those cars, everything that you sell into this country, 25%. He said, I'd like to come back in 5 minutes. He came back in 5 minutes. President, we would be honored to give you all 10 of those things. And we got all 10. We got all 10.
It's so awesome. You just like make shit up and no one.
28,000 soldiers free of charge, no cost. And they did a fantastic.
I forgot how much Trump made shit up. It's been so long like that I've like actually covered his rhetoric and his speeches that like he'll just like take something that happened and exaggerate so much that it's just impossible. Like, it is not the same thing that happened in real life anymore. Wild.
It's one of those things. The next Republican president must immediately implement every aspect of the Trump agenda that achieved the most secure border in history, including remain in Mexico, safe third agreement. You know what that is? Asylum restrictions, enhanced rapid deportation initiatives. I got all of these things. And they gave them up. They gave them up. Newt, can you believe it? Yes, you can. He's saying, yes, I can. They gave them all up. Think of it. Remain in Mexico. In other words, you cannot come into the country.
The saddest part about it is that everything he's talking about, pretty much everything he's talking about, the Biden camp has continued. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't changed. Like, they're doing it. They're continuing these policies.
And that's it. And it was hard to get, but I got it pretty quickly, like in about 10 minutes. And they couldn't believe it. And that's it. And we had a great border. And people weren't pouring in. And now we have people remain in the United States and come back for your trial in 4 years. And nobody ever comes back. Only the really stupid people come back.
That's 99%.
I think it's about 1% come back.
That's not true. It's literally the opposite. 99%. 99%. Like, this is such a fucking gross lie, dude. Literally almost every single one that gets a trial date, pretty much every single one of the immigrants that get a trial date come back because a lot of them are legally seeking asylum. Okay? It is a legal process and they are coming back and continuing along with the legal process. He just totally flipped the fucking argument on its head. He's like, 1%?
We planned. Well, let's go and let's see if we can get it done. And then we had the catastrophe of the election. We had it almost finished. It was a catastrophe, that election, a disgrace to our country. But 3 weeks would have been done. It would have been completed, all of the additional wall. But as you know, they didn't want to build the wall.
Motherfucker's going to be president again, dude. Get ready for all of this.
To think that maybe
get ready for really 4 more years of this shit, okay?
So everybody can.
Because he is going to be president.
The border was the best and safest in U.S. recorded history, and they have turned it into the worst in the history of our country, but probably the worst in the history of the world. And that includes third world countries, because no third world country would have millions and millions of people. I don't care how desolate, how poor, they wouldn't have millions and millions of people pouring into their country. There has never been a border like this in history. What they're doing to this country, they're poisoning our country. They're poisoning our country. And remember what I said, we're going to pay a big price over the years to come. To repair the damage Joe Biden has done, it's also going to be necessary to fund the largest ever increase in the number of new ICE officers. You know how tough they are? These are tough patriots. I know some of the people in these rows here, and I can tell you none of you want that job. Not even the governor. Hello, governor. None of you want that job. They walk into a nest of MS-13. MS-13 doesn't like guns as much as knives. They like to hurt people and take a long time to do it. And a gun is too quick. And they took two 16-year-old girls walking home from school, and they cut their skin off. And they died. They both died. They did it with knives. And the ICE officers will run into a nest of MS-13, the meanest of all gang members, the meanest. The Hells Angels are like the nicest people in the world by comparison. They're like really nice. They're high society.
What?
And they cut, and they cut. And these people will go into a nest, and they'll run in, and the fists start going, and they always win. They're tough, and they love our country, and they are totally disrespected by foolish Democrats that have no idea. And we've taken thousands of them, thousands and thousands of these gang members. We've taken them out, and we brought them back to their countries. We were having a hard time because when I first came in, I think an important story, they said, sir, you can't take them out because the other countries, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and many others, they won't allow us to land our planes in their airports. I said, what do you mean? The three countries in particular, and Mexico, but three countries, they wouldn't allow them. So I said, what do you mean they wouldn't? They said, they don't want them back, sir. They're not going to allow. So every time we'd fly with a plane full of essentially prisoners, gang members, and they'd have planes on the runway. You wouldn't allow them to run. They wouldn't accept our buses through the border. They wouldn't do anything. I said, so what?
Once again, what he's talking about is a half-truth. There is some truth to what he's saying, as always, which is America's deportation policies for MS-13 was so horrific that they would literally fucking send in planes full of like violent criminals that actually fucking were violent American criminals, by the way. They're El Salvadorian, but that doesn't mean that they're like, you know, learning the fucking trade and doing the crimes in El Salvador. But America would literally fucking fly them back and not tell the government that this was an entire plane full of MS-13 criminals, okay? Straight up, they would just fly them back and be like, here, it's your problem now. And then those guys would then go to El Salvador and run El Salvador. There's part of the reason why El Salvador has so much violent crime is literally because America took El Salvadoran criminals, okay? And ones that like learned the trade in the streets of Los Angeles and shit, okay? And shipped them back to El Salvador without telling the government that they were criminals. So then they took control in El Salvador and then came back to America. MS-13 is an American invention. It's not an El Salvadoran invention.
And I don't blame you. You don't want them. But you're not.
That is how MS-13 started.
Bring them back. They said, sir, we would be honored to have them back. Please send them immediately. I'll never forget it. And all these guys are sitting around that have been doing this stuff for a long time, right, Kellyanne? You were in the room, Kellyanne, when they said, we would be honored to have them back. There's nothing we would rather have than MS-13 gang members coming back into our country. But please, when will the money start? So we had a great success with that, and we sent thousands, tens of thousands of these people back. Since Biden has effectively suspended all immigration enforcement, including horrible, vicious...
Oh my God. 75% of Democratic and Democratic-leaning voters want the party to nominate someone other than President Biden in 2024. The same poll showed 55% of Republican and Republican-leaning voters want someone other than Trump as the GOP nominee. So there's more people in the Democratic Party that don't want Biden than there are people in the Republican Party that want fucking Trump. Oh my God. Oh no.
15 million people pour into
Oh God. We are so fucked. We are so fucked, dude.
It's very hard to say we're going to remove 15 million people. You know, there's a thing called humanity. There's things that we have to think about. But we can get rid of all of the bad ones, and the police know almost immediately
2024 is going to be a fucking bloodbath, dude.
And that we can do fast and easy. At the same time, we should implement a bond system and a financial penalty so that anyone who comes to our country on a temporary visa and fails to depart suffers significant financial consequences, and we take the money away from the country. We charge the country $25,000 each for each person that comes in illegally. And I had that going, and then we all of a sudden got hit with the China virus. I was all set to do that. I was looking forward to it. And then they said, there's a terrible thing happening in China. There are a lot of dead people laying all over the streets. there's something going on. Shortly thereafter, I closed it up long before Nancy Pelosi wanted it, or any of these people, including Fauci. I used to listen to Fauci, and whatever he said, I did the opposite. I came out very good. But we closed it up, and then we had to close it up to Europe, or we would have had a much worse situation. But it's pretty amazing. Some of the things we've done are pretty amazing. The National Guard can be used to help find and remove criminal illegal aliens from our country. We have to use the National Guard. But we really do. We have to get ICE back. These people are incredible. And the Border Patrol, Brandon, Judd, the whole group, they're phenomenal people. And they love the country. You know, they could have an easy job. They don't have to do anything. They want to do their job. It's incredible. Sometimes I wonder, you know, I see things where they just want to be allowed to do their job. They don't want to be told to just stand away and leave us alone and let everybody pour in. They feel horrible. They see the country as being destroyed. These are great people. Border Patrol, ICE, and our police, of course, our police, all of our law enforcement. Furthermore, we should significantly increase jail time for repeat immigration violators to make clear that if you flout our immigration laws, you are looking at very hard time and substantial time. This used to be called Kate's Law. Do you remember that? Named after Kate Steinle, who was an incredible, beautiful young woman who was gunned down in San Francisco while standing with her father on a pier. Do you remember that? How can you forget it? In the prime of her life, by an illegal alien with 5 prior deportations. He just kept coming back in, and he shot her, standing with her father. Daddy, Daddy, something happened. That was her last words. What a horrible story that was. So we went to get Kate's Law passed. I didn't, but I know a lot of people were working very hard on it, and I believe that the radical left Democrats just wouldn't hear about it. They wouldn't do anything about it. It's hard to believe. But we have to get a law, Kevin, that's even tougher than Kate's Law. And I think everyone's going to go for it now. Because the one good thing about what's happened, they've performed so badly. We'll be able to get the job done in an even stronger and faster manner than...
Bro, they saw violent crime happen, and their argument was literally, let's fucking make it so that, undocumented immigrants that aren't doing crimes are punished severely. Like, it is the argument, the assumption that, like, undocumented immigrants are a monolithic force that are just, like, violent barbarians who can't fucking stop themselves. That is the main fucking law for Kate's Law, for the record. That is what it is. It is an increase in maximum sentences for immigrants who re-enter the country illegally after a deportation. The bill is a waste of federal resources. It would likely balloon America's population of nonviolent prisoners while not protecting Americans against serious criminals. This is a Cato.org analysis on the Kate's Law. These are libertarians, like the fucking, open border libertarians, the remaining 4 open border libertarians. It's the same propaganda I hear of Palestinians in Israel. Like, it is... If you have a problem with violent crime, address, I don't know, all of the different fucking layers. Okay? All of the different layers where that kind of crime manifests. Okay? Access to a weapon that was used in this circumstance. Why was this kind of violent crime occurring? Access to mental health treatment. Okay? But instead, they're like, no, every single person that is a nonviolent offender, even if they're a nonviolent, undocumented immigrant living on U.S. soil, if they're caught living on U.S. soil and they're deported, but their fucking family lives in the United States, so they come back, if they're caught again, it's over. Like, put a fucking harsher sentence. Why do they want to do that? Because they want to inflate the prisoner population. Because they want actual slaves, okay? Not enough. Not enough to enslave the black population through the criminal justice system. We need more slaves. We need more slaves. We need more private prisons. We need to ensure that we have better slave labor. This is something I've talked about years ago, and it is pretty obvious what's happening. I mean, this is the main reason for it.
The things, you could go on for days and days, the damage that's been caused. Well, I have focused on public safety today, there's much more to the America First agenda, as you all know very well, looking into the future. And I look forward to laying out many more details in the weeks and months to come. It's just the beginning, but it's also, and we can say this to Brooke, it's also a policy.
Thank you, Mach 8 for the 20 gift of subs.
You can say whatever you want. It's really a policy of common sense, and it's a policy of law and order. Hello, Alvita. How are you? Thank you. We have to do so much. We need to save our economy and stop the inflation crippling American families. We have to rescue our schools from the Marxist teachers' unions. We need to completely demolish the corrupt education bureaucracy and liberate our children.
The Marxist teachers' unions, dude. Yeah, famous.
We need to protect. This is the craziest thing to have to say this, because who would ever think we have to say this? We need to protect parents' rights. Can you imagine? You're up here as, I'm a politician.
But we also need to arm the teachers.
I'm a politician, I guess. I ran for president. I won. Then I won a second time, did much better the second time. Did a lot better. Did a lot better. Very corrupt. I always say I ran the first time and I won. Then I ran a second time and I did much better. We got millions and millions more votes. And you know what? That's going to be a story for a long time. What a disgrace it was. But we may just have to do it again. We have to straighten out our country. We have to straighten out our country. We had it there. We had it. We actually did it twice. We did it pre-COVID, and then we did it again, and we handed over a stock market that was higher than it was pre-COVID. Nobody can even believe it. We actually did it twice. So it's a very sad thing. All of the things I'm talking about would have been done. We need to get political correctness and left-wing race and gender theories out of our military so that America can once again fight and win wars. We have to be thinking about winning. We have to abolish all COVID mandates and lockdowns and rehire every patriot who is fired from the military with an apology to them and give them their back pay that they've been looking for. And it is a great shame of the Pentagon brass that they have not spoken out in defense of their own service members. They have to speak out. To drain the swamp and root out the deep state, we need to make it much easier to fire rogue bureaucrats who are deliberately undermining democracy, or at a minimum, just want to keep their jobs. They want to hold on to their jobs. Congress should pass historic reforms empowering the president to ensure that any bureaucrat who is corrupt, incompetent, or unnecessary for the job can be told, did you ever hear this? You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
You were the president. You were the president. You literally had like Scott Pruitt and shit in positions of power in a direct fucking conflict of interest. I'm losing my mind. He's doing the same shit that Biden does when he's like, oh, look alive, Jack, who's the president? I'd like to have a talking with him. And it's like, dude, you're the same. You're acting like you weren't the president. Notice how he talked about how he was like the outsider again. He's like, people say I'm a politician. It's like, motherfucker, you were the president. You were the president. Ah! What do you mean people say? What do you fucking mean people say that you're a politician now? It's like, yeah, you are. You are the politician.
In fact, if you know, Canada and Mexico want to renegotiate the deal, and I say to Biden, don't do it, and don't give up the tariffs on China. We want to bring back our jobs and secure manufacturing independence. We need to rapidly maximize domestic oil and gas production to restore energy independence and bring the price of gasoline back down to a number that nobody even believes anymore. We had it down to $1.87. Can you imagine?
Because
to build on my historically successful trade policies that brought back millions of jobs and billions of dollars. We need to strengthen our trade laws, give the president more tools to combat.
He's literally talking about COVID only when it's like shit like, oh, the price of oil and gas was so low. Yeah, because no one was driving, dummy.
To China and other countries that you could ever do. For the senators, don't allow it to happen. It's before you. If you do that, you're not a great American, and I'll say it very strongly. We need to establish a commission to hold China accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world and the damage they've caused. And we need to restore my administration's initiative to target and eliminate Chinese espionage, which Joe Biden outrageously abolished. You know, we had it. Huawei couldn't come in. You know that. They were prohibited from coming in. All of a sudden, they're all over the place. It's crazy what's going on. We should once again require able-bodied single adults to go to work or train for a job in order to receive welfare and other benefits. You got to work. And we should require proof of citizenship to receive the child. We have to do this to get the child tax credit to stop subsidizing illegal immigration. We're bringing illegal immigrants into our country because they're paying them a
dog. The child is American, though. Like a child tax credit given for an American child born on U.S. soil. Doesn't matter if their fucking mom or dad is not a U.S. citizen. The child is a U.S. citizen. It doesn't say daddy tax credit. It's the child tax credit. What the fuck?
A disaster. You know, if you give $5,600 plus $1, they put you in jail. $5,600. You can't give any more than that. They put you in jail. Zuckerberg gave $417 million. So what's happening? Just an amazing thing. And we want to ensure universal voter ID. But our goal should be same-day voting with only paper ballots. That's just like France just had.
Bro, you don't even vote. Dog, he doesn't vote same day with a paper ballot. What is he talking about?
Only paper ballots. That's it.
He doesn't even vote.
The military, if it's based far away only, can vote. And people that are legitimately ill can vote by mail-in. But that's a very small category. Same-day voting. France just had an election.
Bro, France also has a fucking federal holiday, which you would never do, you pussy.
There was no dispute, no nothing. It was all paper. Everything was paper. Same day. They voted in one day. It started early in the morning. It went throughout the day. They had plenty of capacity. 55 million.
Dude, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for a French-style electoral process, an elections process. We don't have any of that.
In America, these are the choices that America must confront on the road ahead. Right now, these next few years, our country will decide whether we are going to allow a corrupt and radical ruling class to snuff out the torch of liberty, or whether we will resist the forces of decay and raise that torch higher and prouder than ever to enlighten and inspire the entire world. We can do that. Together we're standing up against, thank you, I think. Together we're standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen or confronted. A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. And then I started thinking about it, Kellyanne, and I said, you know what? He may very well be right. He may be right. Think of it. We had a Russia scam that covered religiously. It was covered religiously by the media. A lot of media back there today. Was covered religiously, even though the media knew it was fake. They knew it was fake. It turned out to be a concocted fairy tale made up by crooked Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, a sleazeball writer named Christopher Steele, and a coordinated effort with, of all places, Russia. They dealt with Russia on the Russia hoax. Then I had the impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and the Mueller investigation resulting after 2 years in a verdict of there was no collusion. Who has been through anything like this, seriously? Certainly no politician and definitely no president. All of this while I was doing so much as president, including creating the most secure border in American history, recording the largest tax and regulatory cuts in the history of our country, biggest tax cut ever, bigger than the Reagan cuts,
assassinated.
bigger than anyone, and regulatory, just of equal importance. $1.87 a gallon gasoline. We're at 5, 6, 7. You're going way up. No inflation, low interest rates, record growth in real wages, rebuilding our entire military. We rebuilt the military, gave $85 billion of it to
the funniest part about
the
like the
Taliban.
shit that he complains about is that like Fox News literally did that to Obama for the 8 years that Obama was president. It's just like CNN did that to Donald Trump. That's it. Back in the day, CNN and MSNBC didn't operate as aggressively towards Republican presidents before Trump in the same way that Fox News has always operated towards Democratic presidents. That's it. That's the reason why he's able to fucking cry about this shit nonstop and like, oh, I'm just prosecuted.
Adam
That's the big
Shifty
difference.
Schiff and others who are standing before the same microphone, same thing. They get out and they say, oh, our country is suffering so badly because, and he knows the whole thing is a hoax. I said this the other day. He knew Russia was a hoax. Him, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, the Democrats. And he stood pompously before microphones. His head, as you know, I feel, is shaped like a watermelon. He's quite an unattractive man. Now, see, they'll get me in trouble for that, Kellyanne, because by saying he's unattractive, they'll say, that's a horrible thing to say. But he said slightly worse about me. But think of this. He knows it's a hoax. He goes, not a stupid person, an evil person, a sick person, in my opinion, but he goes before these same...
Who's he talking about with the watermelon head?
And he said, President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., will go to prison for what he's done with Russia. What kind of a man would
Adam
say
Schiff?
that my
Shifty
son...
Schiff? Adam Shit.
Put yourself in my son's position, that he's going to prison on something that he doesn't even know about, and that Adam Schiff knows is a hoax and a fairy tale and was made up. And the New York Times, Bret Stephens did a piece on it the other day. They admit now that it was a totally made up hoax. He's saying my son should go to prison, and he knows it was a hoax. What kind of a human being can do that? Only a sick, evil, very bad human being. And now I have the same people there, the same people, other than Cheney, who's the worst, and crying Adam Kinzinger. I watched him today. He's, oh. I mean, these people are just, you know, but the same basic people are now going on this. And it's so unfair when you see what happened to
Crying Adam
BLM,
Kinzinger.
when you see what happened to Antifa, when you see what happened to all of the killings that took place all over the country, and then when you see what they're doing to people that in some cases didn't even enter the building, and you see the way they're being tortured and handled so horribly, when you see Kamala Harris getting people out on bail that burned down buildings and killed people, and getting them out on bail, and you can't even get many of these people out on bail. What a sad thing. And something's going to have to happen, because people are not going to take it much longer.
Wait.
There's two sets of justice.
I thought that was
Go
Antifa.
into it, but nobody's ever seen what's happening today in our country.
What?
And they're doing the exact same thing.
Brother, we had slavery. What is he talking about? We still have slavery. But like we also like officially had it. And now we kind of officially have it with the 13th Amendment. What are you talking
Our
about?
biggest threat in this country remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within. These are evil people. Crazy Nancy Pelosi. She impeached me twice only because she had enough votes. And the Democrats do stick together, even though they don't agree with it, because they're afraid not to. She impeached me twice, but the Republicans stuck together also, so I'm honored that they did. But think of how sick that is.
Fucking pussies.
I got impeached over a phone call. Congratulations on your win. Trump gets impeached. I mean, this is just a crazy time Never forget, everything this corrupt establishment is doing to me is all about preserving their power and control over the American people. They want to damage you in any form, but they really want to damage me so I can no longer go back to work for you. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, he's running. Oh, he's running. Oh, he's running. Oh, you know. Oh,
Thank
Lord, he's running.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's very nice. Now, it's a very sad thing. Who else could have taken this? You know, think of it. Nixon went through not even one impeachment. And I think he always regretted that he didn't fight. But people...
Let's go,
pro
Nixon.
Period of time. And to me, they say a very successful man came up to me and said, could I ask you a question? One of the most successful. Could I ask you a question? You know what? How do you take it? How do you get up in the morning? I say, do I have a choice, right? Do I have a choice? And we take it. But I think the people respect it. I really do. I see that, and I see it maybe now more than ever. And the problem we have is that the fake news media is corrupt and complicit. If they weren't, we would have a much quicker heal, because in its own way, they're the police of honesty and all. And when people don't trust them, their approval rating is now lower than Congress, which is saying something. Sorry for all you congressmen, but that's the truth. It's been there for a long time. But, you know, when I first ran, it was very high. And I'm very honored to say that I've revealed something that people just didn't know. But it's never been like it is now. It's never been like it is now. If I renounced my beliefs, if I agreed to stay silent, if I stayed at home and just took it easy, the persecution of Donald Trump would stop immediately. It would stop. But that's not what I will do. I can't do that. A much simpler life. Have to save our country. I can't do that because I love our country, and I can't do that because I love the people of our country. So I can't do that. I wouldn't do it, and people don't want me to do it. Thank you very much. And I'm not doing this for me because I had a very luxurious life. I had a very simple life. I had everything. People say, you sure you want to do this? But, you know, there's an expression, the best day of your life is the day before you run for president. Did you ever hear that expression? And I laughed at it. I said, that may be true, actually. Right, Kelly? May be true. But I'm doing it for America, and it's my honor to do it. It's my great, great honor to do it.
Yeah, he's doing it for
Because if
America.
I don't, our nation is doomed to become another Venezuela or become another Soviet Union. That's where we're headed. When you look at what's happening with the media, Newt, that's where we're headed. Or become a very large-scale version of Cuba, where all is lost and there is no hope. But no matter how big or powerful the corrupt radicals that we're fighting against may be, no matter how menacing they appear, we must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you, the American people.
It's so funny how fucking powerless the Democratic Party is when he says shit like this. Like, Republicans are owning right now. Like, they're literally owning. They're owning from the grave. You're just a brainwashed Democrat? Hell yeah, brother.
Republic, unlike anything the world has ever known. Our American ancestors stood their ground on Bunker Hill. They starved and suffered at Valley Forge, and they seized victory at Yorktown. So many great, incredible, dangerous, brilliant events. They ventured out and conquered an untamed wilderness. They settled the Great Plains, crossed the Rockies, and kept pushing westward. They raised families. They built a bustling city. They founded thriving industries. They rescued freedom from the evils of fascism and communism. And they planted our flag on the face of the moon. Think of what we've done. These courageous
Oh, he's
men and
losing the
women
moon
gave
landing
everything
was
they had
staged,
to
guys,
make
though.
America into the greatest nation in all of history. Greatest nation in all of history.
With the exception of
now
like
we are a
one or
nation
two of those
in
things that he
decline.
just mentioned, most of it is just America doing genocide, but he's just like saying it in a positive
That
way.
has the highest inflation in 49 years, and where the stock market just finished the worst first half of the year since 18.
Like World War II,
72.
moon landing, that's it.
Likewise,
Everything
we
else
are a
is just
nation that
literally
has the highest
genocide, but
energy
he's saying
cost
it
in
like
its
it was
history.
cool.
We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just 2 short years ago. Think of it. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia and many others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe
Yeah,
Biden
instead
says.
he would be begging Saudi
Yet we
Arabia
have
just
more
like Joe
liquid
did
gold
inevitably.
under our feet
Come on, bro.
than any other nation in the world. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal. Yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to the destruction of our country. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. And we are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate
thing
a
Brandon
country,
ever did.
Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people.
There's only
And
good
it will only
legacy.
get worse. And it would never, ever, ever have happened if I was your commander-in-chief. Would have never happened. And it didn't. It didn't. For 4 years, it didn't. And China, with Taiwan, is next. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement like never before against the opposing political party. Nothing's ever happened like what's happening now.
What?
We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get, and they are the true enemy of the people. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than died in 2020.
He's right about that.
We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon.
He's right about that. Dark Brandon.
Incredibly
Dark Brandon
being
killed more
allowed
MAGA
to do
supporters
right
with
now as we
COVID
speak.
than Donald Trump
Would have
ever
never
could.
happened
It's
under
true.
President Trump. They were dying to make a deal.
It's true.
They
Dark
would have made a
Dark
deal with
Brandon.
us right after the election, and it would have been a good deal.
Let's go.
And China is being allowed to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military, the likes of which possibly the world has never seen. And this also would never
Dark
have
Brandon,
happened
rise up.
with us.
Rise up,
The
Brandon
level of
heads.
speed with which they're going, it's a very dangerous thing. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it, especially those leaders, and perhaps most.
When he talks about weaponizing the police force and stuff, like he's saying that's what he wants to do, and he's going to inevitably have to do it because he's setting the grounds for that. He's like, oh, well, they did it first, so the only way to fight back against the fake press, fake news media, lying press is by weaponizing the law enforcement community against them.
Whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. But we are not going to let this continue. 2 years ago, we
Why
had
are you
the
making your own
greatest-
dialogue that wasn't
There's
said?
never
Wait,
been
what?
anything
This
like
is
it.
true? He's
2
correct in what
years
he's saying, though? Keck.
It's greatness
Lel
like no
W?
one had ever seen. There's never been anything. We were
Oh, we're back. We're back with the
Outlapping
Trump didn't
China.
actually mean it, but if he meant it, he was right about it. But if he was right about it and he meant it and it was kind of bad, then other people are doing worse, guys. The dick
2018,
riding is about to be
2019,
out of
the latest,
control, dude.
and they weren't even close.
Homies in the
because
chat are going to
we
be
were
bouncing off of
outdistancing
Trump's
something
dick
that they never thought could happen.
so
But soon we
fucking
will have
hard,
greatness
dude.
again. With all my heart and all my soul, I firmly believe that the American people will reject a fate of decline, demoralization, and ultimately
People are going to ride Trump's dick so hard, it's going to make Aiden Ross riding Andrew Tate look like nothing. It's going to make that look normal. contentious even.
That is more exceptional than it ever was before. I believe we can do that. America's story is far from over. And in fact, we are just getting ready for an incredible comeback, a comeback that we have no choice but to make. We don't have a choice. We won't have a country if we don't make it. Through strength, we will restore our safety. Through hard work, we will rebuild our prosperity. Through courage, we will reclaim our liberty. Through love, we will repair our unity. Through success, we will rediscover our pride. And through unyielding determination together, we will make America stronger, safer, freer, greater, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
This was a little bit low energy. And for those of you... Oh! That's right! That's my president, baby! Back-to-back World War champions! So, I'll just say it like this. For those of you who are like, oh, what is a summary? The summary is literally everything he has done over the past fucking 4 years, over the past, over his prior presidential term. He just said the exact same shit over and over again. Election is stolen. Top of the hour ad breaks are upon us. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do, believe me. Many of these other Twitch streamers, they're running so many more ads. But this Hasan guy, he's running 1 minute of ads, folks. Can you believe this? He calls himself a socialist, and he's running a top of the hour ad break. But then, at least you can avoid those ads as long as you subscribe for $5 American, or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster, believe me. Okay? You can also get gifted a sub, folks. That is, if you're lucky. Aloha from Maui. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. You're losing the voice? Yeah, I know. Would really be pockets if someone drenched the pop filter with mic with dimethyl curry? What? Thank you, Mach 8, for the 20 gifted subs. So, but yeah, no, everything he said before in every other fucking rally, he has said again with like a couple new anecdotes sprinkled into it. A thing that I had never heard before was like the French, was the French election take. That was new, kind of. That was relatively new. It was how the French elections don't have mail-in ballots, which is true. It was banned, I think, in like the 1950s or something. Wait, let me see exactly the date. In France, mail-in ballots are not allowed. You have to do same day. Except in France, it's also a federal holiday. You know what I mean? And in European countries where they have like, where they actually have, for example, laws, or you have to, where you have to show an ID to get to be able to vote. You have an identification paper that the government gives you for free, unconditionally. No driver's license, no nothing. So again, do you think we're fucked for the midterms? Oh, dude, totally. Tell me how this Twitch subscriber thing isn't an MLM or a funnel scheme. You think a Twitch subscription is a multi-level marketing scheme? Brother, do you understand what a multi-level marketing scheme is? Like, you don't have to buy in, and then you make no money by selling it to other people. Everything is free. Not only is it free, but you can also like literally watch it for free on YouTube, on either my channel or straight up on other fucking YouTube channels that are operated by my fans. It is I have 4,000 subs from your MLM. Thanks, Hasan. Yeah. It's a bad joke, sorry, man. Oh, I thought you were a tater tot, unironically failing to comprehend what a multi-level marketing scheme is, and just using it here.